I really love world building in games. One of the reasons actually why I play video games in general is not just to waste my time, etc., etc., but is to actually experience the creativity of others and how they put together the various worlds. It's why I like science fiction and fantasy, actually. I'm a huge fan of what is known as speculative fiction as a genre that asks the question, what if? I mean, some of you have probably watched the Marvel TV series of the same name. What if Captain Carter got the serum instead of Steve Rogers, for example? So, what if in the future humanity lives underwater is the kind of question that Pronty Fishy Adventure does a little bit of answering. The actual story and the events of the story aren't 100% clear. It's all built up for the most part using little tidbits of lore. But one of the things I really love about the game, apart from this rather excellent map, which is of course one of my big joys in Metroidvania games, is taking a look at the world building. And when it comes down to it, there are an awful lot of really cool and interesting creatures in this game. So I thought what I'd do in this video is take a look at some of them. I'm just going to go through the entire creature encyclopedia because there's a load of stuff in here that I just didn't look at or read in the actual game. So let's do it. Number 1, Pronty himself, or itself, or themselves. It doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, it does matter, actually. I mean, the idea that Pronty is an it is kind of correct because it's been created, but also it's supposed to be our link to the game world, and therefore dehumanizing it to such an extent when it is clearly an intelligent and emotional creature feels weird. But anyway, Pronty length 1 to 1.2 meters, so just over a meter tall. 22 kilograms. I have no idea what that is. I'm British. I use stones and pounds. Traits: pollution absorption, hyper intelligence, omnivorous. Alright, Mr. Cow, this time I've made it survive 1. Pretty certain that should be an exclamation mark. Professor Mina Tucker, 2365. So Pronty was made by Mina. A protector developed by the Royalist Central Academy over 5 years, Pronties are capable of fast rejuvenation and the absorption of water pollution. However, as their bodies retain toxins, few survive into their 20s. They can understand human language and will faithfully execute any order. Because they lack complex phonatory organs, Pronties cannot speak. They can only make whistles and clicks similar to that of a dolphin. So they're kind of a cross between dolphins and humans, essentially. They're hyper-intelligent genetic creations. I find it quite interesting that they absorb water pollution. I hadn't realised that about them, but I suppose that's kind of the point of the whole thing. They guard Roiler, and also they're there to help with the kind of mutant problem that they've got going on. Pronty 29, 1.4 meters, 70 kilograms, transceive signals, data storage, javelin combats. Now on sale. Buy 3 and get 20% off. Duan Quiri, spokesperson of K-Core Security, 2362. Originally the Deep Ocean Army's standard weapon, the automatic partner javelin, nicknamed Bront, has many extended models. After the success of Project Proteus, Professor Tucker repurposed Bront E29 as every Pronty's battle partner. Its biotechnological body features numerous nanocomputers that instantly exchange messages and information, making Bront's perfect Pronty companions for executing long-term missions. Etta! Half a meter tall, 4 kilograms in weight. Traits: stealth, language comprehension, environment cleaning. Not entirely sure Etta 007 is very good at that. With Etta comes clean cities. Commercial slogan from Junk Best Cleaning Co. 2255. Etta is a cleaning robot developed by Junk Better Inc., equipped with the latest in AI. Junk Better? Junk Best. That's a translation issue. With the latest in AI technology, Etta will never miss a dirty spot. Roiler's tidiness is the result of tens of thousands of Etta patrolling the city. So it's interesting that Etta 007 is the one that we meet, so a really early model, or early in the numbering scheme anyway. Heinrich Tucker in Merfolk 4. So Heinrich obviously is Mina's dad. 2.23 meters tall. 96 kilograms. Sentence repetition, lethargy, amnesia. You look both familiar and unfamiliar, Pronty, said repeatedly by Heinrich Tucker, 2487. This moment is the very same Dr. Heinrich Tucker who presided over the Ocean Cleaner project many years ago. His mutant merfolk body affords him an extremely long lifespan. Perhaps due to the riots 100 years ago, or possibly nearly 30 years of imprisonment, his mind has long since left him. However, he does react to the names Toby and Mina. Riots 100 years ago, so is this why the entire city is deserted, I wonder? Mina! 1.7 meters, undisclosed weight. Courageous, decisive, unwavering, adventurous. Dr. Mina, do you really want to know where the children come from? That's one of the most tragic parts of this story. The fact that the children are taken from the Undercity to do experiments on. Mina is Dr. Tucker's only daughter. She was traumatized at 3 years old by the death of her mother. She was quiet and withdrawn until Toby came into her life and opened her heart. Later, she followed her father's footsteps and became a geneticist. She headed the original Poseidon project where she created Pronty. Professor Mina was killed in 2370 by a stray bullet, but part of her consciousness has lived on for more than a century in the multi-core intellectual neurocomputing assistant, or Mina. So some of the stuff that we saw in the flashbacks was 100 years ago. So it's been 100 years. So in the true ending, when we see Heinrich out there in the distance, it's been 100 years since Mina's death. What a tragic story. The original Heinrich, 1.8 meters tall, conscientious, discreet, meticulous. Mr. Cow, everything has its limits. Professor Tucker's father and a genius geneticist. After losing his beloved wife, he devoted his energy to genetics research and his daughter. He created Toby in 2340 and was a key researcher for the Ocean Cleaner project. He strongly opposed the mutant fish reinforcements proposed by chief executives. After 2358's major incident, he fled Roiler with all of his research results and Toby. He is classified as deceased in official records. Huh. He strongly opposed the mutant fish reinforcements proposed by chief executives. That bit of the story has been a little bit unclear to me, where the mutant fish actually came from. Toby, the first Pronty, pollution absorption, hyperintelligence, omnivorous. Do you want to listen to a story? A privately developed artificial creature created by Dr. Heinrich Tucker that fuses fish and his own genes. That's why he calls him his son. Resources were provided by Roiler Central Academy. Toby was quite advanced, capable of learning and evolving. After Mina was killed and Dr. Tucker was arrested, it lost its mind and continued to grow and evolve, waiting to avenge the people of Roiler. Eventually, it mutated and became Raksha. After it destroyed half of all the ocean cities in 2400, it has wandered aimlessly near Roiler. It destroyed half of all the ocean cities. Jeez. Battle dummies. Immobilized, passive attacks, transceive signals. I like the cute face of this one. I also think it's supposed to be a kind of a merfolk, isn't it? Punch me harder. Yes, right there. Okay. All new recruits are provided with battle dummies, battle training simulation equipment developed by K-Core Security. These robots have air-pocketed bodies and organs and are somewhat intelligent, so they provide newbies with tough, semi-realistic training without the pain. Even if the robots are damaged, they can be reused after skin and part replacement. They are very economical. Chattertooth. This is one of the first enemies we fight in the game. Up to a meter long, biting attack, slow movement, pack hunting. Do not underestimate them just because of their funny appearance. An inspector who lost his middle finger. Chattering Teeth toy sales figures skyrocketed after a ridiculous comedy movie premiered in the 2350s. Soon after the trend's frenzy faded, however, tens of thousands of Chattering Teeth toys were thrown away, buried deep within the trash fields. People assume mutant fish found potential from these toys, Or perhaps the fish were part of a genetic scientist's cruel joke. In any case, these Chattertooth fish reproduce quickly, prevailing over other fish using their extra teeth and habit of hunting in schools. Individually, they pose little threats. We cannot guarantee you won't lose a finger or two, or maybe an ear, when dozens of Chattertooth rush you. Lord Chattertooth, the first boss. Lord Chattertooth is the master of all Chattertooth. This one creature can summon hundreds of Chattertooth. However, if you can kill him with one shot amongst his hordes of minions, all summoned Chattertooth will lose their morale and retreat. Thus, mobility and accuracy are two essential abilities to end a battle with him swiftly. I love the fact that he's got sunglasses on, and a scar, and a little gold tooth there. The fact that some of his teeth are longer and pointier as well. Capone! These are, again, one of the early enemies that shoot stuff at you. Ranged attacks, average speed, ambush tactics. Following the so-called 24th century film noir renaissance, crime bosses like Al Capone and Vito Corleone fascinated audiences of all ages. Children would capture or breed fish called Capones to use them as guns. The overpopulation of Capones even roused fierce protests from parent groups. Millions of abandoned Capone fish later proved to be dangerous threats to underwater citizens, as they'll gift you a bullet you can't refuse. So they look like a fusion of fish and plastic carrier bags. Looks like the handles coming out of their mouths, and they've evolved to kind of shoot trash out of them. Electro Capones, these are the ones that you find down in the power plants. The biggest difference between Electro Capones and Capones is Electro Capones have taser abilities. Even when they miss a target's weakest point, their electrified bullets can still paralyze. Many protectors who have hunted them have been permanently paralyzed. Thus, you cannot be too careful when facing these creatures. At least put on your rubber underwear. Yeah, so they've got kind of light bulbs on their back. Slightly smaller bags, and they've got wires sticking out of their mouths rather than what looks like the carrier handles. I like the evolution of that, covered in wires. Bottled Intestines. Not many of these in the game that I can think of. Ram attack, speed burst, ambush tactics. Bottled Intestines are mutant monsters discovered by Professor Mahwalong. As its name suggests, this fish monster has had its body replaced entirely by a plastic bottle, giving it a more streamlined shape. Their sudden bursts of speed nearly match that of torpedoes. Students in the Central Academy often use these monsters as rocket toys. However, after the principal's office rocket incident of 2360, this fish has been forever banned from the Central Academy. It really doesn't paint the Academy in a great light, but it's interesting that this particular one has been discovered. How have they mutated to have a plastic bottle as part of their bodies? Pancreas Killers. Drinks with high sugar content not only destroy your body from within, now these monstrous fish fused with all sorts of empty drink bottles will attack human pancreases. Biologists in Rolla are unsure why these creatures are highly attracted to and fond of attacking pancreases. Once they sense you, they will do what they can to chew through your stomach until they get at that juicy organ. Huh. Again, some very, very interesting designs. This one obviously is a Coke bottle. I like the fact that this one's got kind of spiky innards. This one is fruiter, so kind of like a Fanta style thing, I assume. Slug Paramecium. Tastes like jelly. Though it may not sound like a delicious treat, in reality Slug Paramecium is a biological miracle of edible jelly fused with mollusca. Of all the weird creatures lurking beneath the deep water, the Slug Paramecium is the only species offering medicinal and culinary uses without threatening health. They've avoided extinction thanks to their superb reproductive ability and excellent adaptability to diverse environments. That and the fact that they're really, really fast. Like, really fast. Also, they're quite cute. Tentacle Fairies. For Royler's poets, Tentacle Fairy is the goddess of muses. Their long bodies wave endlessly in the water, creating a scene that evokes dancing fairies. For other sea creatures, they are the goddesses of healing. Their tentacles can accelerate the healing process to mere minutes. No wonder many sea creatures adore their company. There's not many of these in the game, this particular type of tentacle. But they're interesting creatures. Let me give you a tentacle, for it is my lust of you. Giovanni Rosso, Poet Laureate, 2382. Nice animations on those. Tentacle Rosa. Compared to Tentacle Fairy, Tentacle Rosa is much more alluring, but underneath her beautiful facade lurks a deadly feature. When her spikes stab into her prey's flesh, the victim will struggle to escape. Tentacle Rosa's naturally sanguine appearance is illusory. She is actually blue-green, but her body reddened after baptism in her victim's blood. Her dangerous nature is readily apparent. So these are mostly found kind of towards the centre of the map, in the kind of red elevator place. There's quite a few of those knocking around there. They don't do anything super special though. This one is the one that's found down underground. Tentacle Dionysius. I didn't even realise that these guys had a name. The venom of Tentacle Dionysius is hallucinogenic, isn't it just? It makes your screen go all wibbly. A drop on the skin is enough to feel immediate and full effects. Victims lose control over their bodies as Tentacle Dionysius feasts upon them. However, despite the effectiveness of its venom, it is not addictive, so individuals have taken to it recreationally in place of ecstasy. Thus the creature is also named Mad Party. The famous singer Spook Cat loves this creature and keeps several at home, perhaps the muse for many inspired songs. So it's a legal trip. Passive attack, slow rejuvenation, highly aggressive. So I assume those are the things that make us kind of the screen go wibbly. But it also looked like they were kind of ejecting things into the water at some distance. So I'm not sure if it's the same thing. Cleaners. We saw quite a few of these. The snails are the ones that we've seen the most of. I don't even recall what those were. We saw some of those near Mina in Central Surveillance. Ultimate solution to marine pollution. Harmless, mutated creature is the product of the early home cleaner project. Gentle and slow, they are capable of eating dozens of grams of trash per day. They are incapable of reproduction and can only be made through the modification of existing fish. Due to imbalances in ocean ecosystems caused by monster invasions, the number of modifiable fish has dropped significantly. So they were humanity's first attempt to clean the oceans of all the crap that they had dropped in it. Number 20, the Glass Spiky. Compared to its cousin the Bull Spiky, the Bull Spikies are the ones that charge at you. The Glass Spiky is a more peaceful creature, yet they mustn't be underestimated. Beware the glass shards protruding from the bodies, as they are almost as tough as diamonds and quite sharp. According to seafood connoisseurs, Glass Spiky is much tastier than Bull Spiky. Well, as long as you have a diamond cutter to help you carve them up. In terms of design, I like the little kind of tear shape there that gives this slightly tragic appearance. Bull Spikies are covered in pencils and stuff, which is really, really odd. Bull Spike is a creature that is difficult to tame, but when you do, it is an excellent fighting bull. If one can dodge 10 Bull Spikies at a time, that challenger will receive the title Toreador of the Seven Seas. The highest record was set by us, actually. The highest record was set by Toreador Iago Don Juan, who was known for challenging 9 Bull Spikies at a time, which is why the initial score in the bullfighting or the arena is that. He died in 2377 while challenging 10 Bull Spikies concurrently. No one has proven brave enough to attempt, let alone break his record. We got 20, and I think a second go. Parasitia. These are found exclusively inside Mother Whale, I believe. One Parasitia may be nothing to fear, for even a child can use a sonic blunderbuss to terminate the parasites. Now imagine tens or hundreds of hungry Parasitia charging at you on their mother's orders. Trust me, you'd be gone in seconds. The only good Parasitia is a dead Parasitia. Terminate them now so you won't have to deal with a gigantic mother parasite and its brood of thousands in the future. It almost looks like they've got little tiny eyes up here, but those are contrasted with sharp teeth. Not super detailed, those, but interesting nonetheless. Oh, mother whale, 65 meters and 200 tons, barely alive and immobile. A mother's love endures through all, even for parasites. Oh, Emilia, it has a name. Emilia is a whale believed to be a previous rising star at the Mariana Whale Festival. When the Battle of Mariana took place in 2370, Emilia was held hostage for more than a decade by a giant parasite. Years later, she was discovered stuck and unable to move. Her body was chewed up by Parasitia, and garbage was used to patch her wounds. So was set in stone the misfortune of Emilia. She expired from parasites eating through her flesh. The garbage patches kept her alive for a time, so she suffered a fate worse than death, and a pain beyond dying. That's horrible, frankly. Thanks, game designers, for that. Oh, poor Emilia. Hook tongue. Oh yeah, these are the ones that shoot out a kind of fishing hook at you. There's not too many of these in the game. 4 meters long, 210 kilograms, javelin attacks, highly aggressive biting attacks. Chef Kobayashi Soichiro is known for making various dishes from hook tongues. He pointed out that hook tongue is a combination of all the desirable attributes found in eel, flounder, and cuttlefish. Hook tongue flesh as an ingredient is a blessing for the taste buds of connoisseurs. However, wild hook tongues are not easy to handle. They use their hook-shaped tongues to draw in their prey and their giant mouths filled with razor-sharp teeth to tear prey apart. Their teeth can even pierce an adult human's skull. I like the design of these things, the kind of electric blue tails and the kind of electric blue and pink contrasting on the beard, essentially, which contrasts again nicely with the green inside their mouth. Not entirely sure what this is. It's reminiscent of kind of a fishing wire style thing. And this looks like a hook under here, though I think it's actually wiring. Very odd indeed. Deliverer of Death. These are portable bombs, essentially. Highly aggressive, explosive damage. They charge at you and they explode. Bon appetit! Oh ho ho. Deliverers of Death were originally a delicious deep-sea fish, but ever since they learned to produce bombs within their bodies, few dare to try their flaky meat. Interesting, I've always seen them as more kind of gelatinous than fleshy, but, you know. In recent years, only royalist Chef Francois has the courage to personally cook this deadly dish. I like the fact that they've got the kind of interlinked, almost kind of DNA helix running through those bombs. And this obviously is kind of like a fused detonator style imagery, coupled with a grenade pin style imagery there. Also interesting is the fact that the eye is below the mouth, unless it's upside down, I suppose. Death Nafatun. What is worse than a bomb? Why, a bomb moistened with gasoline, and Death Nafatuns are definitely experts in this matter. Not only do they have bombs inside their bodies, like Deliverers of Death, but their skin is covered with gasoline, causing massive damage should they explode. Chef Francois confessed after being arrested in 2365 that Death Nafatun may be the unexpected byproduct of his experimentations making confit the Deliverer of Death. Some escaped Deliverers of Death possibly evolved the ability to absorb oil. Again, I really like the colouring. It's also interesting that the kind of wiring has now become different, almost kind of intestinal. So I really like that colour orange, actually. It clashes quite nicely with the greys. And slightly extra detail actually on the antennae as well. Star, Reaper of Fortune. I found these quite early in the game up in the tower. They hit quite hard until you've got some HP. Though they can be taken out with one kind of charged attack. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder... Ah! Li Mingyi, a schoolboy trespassing into the restricted zone for the very first time. And last, probably, by the sound of it. Star Reapers of Fortune were originally known as Fortune Stars and listed as low-threat level fish monsters. However, in a tragic event that took place in 2382, a Fortune Star lurking in Restricted Area 57 murdered a middle schooler who ventured into the area. As a result, the Fortune Star was reassessed and labelled as a high-level threat, so its name was changed to Star Reaper of Fortune. But why did the Fortune Star kill the boy? It is rumoured that the Fortune Star was provoked by a song being sung by the boy. The fish monster went berserk and broke the boy into pieces. So these are starfish, essentially, in a glass or metal studded tyre that is supported by seaweed. And they hang there and eject shards of metal at you, which hurts quite a lot if it hits you. But you can also knock them down and they'll chase you. The Coward Gunner. As the name suggests, the Coward Gunner is the most alert and paranoid of all mutated monsters. It won't approach any creature it finds threatening. Instead, it fires an extremely strong laser beam using its laser transmitter. With a beam dancer, they're the disco fish, it can release dozens of destructive laser beams and cut enemies into pieces, even from a distance. They're a really cool design as well. I really like the contrasting colours here. I mean, they're an interesting enemy anyway. They're one of the ones that you literally can't kill. That you had to get this record from a disc. Brick Clowns. We killed loads of these. These are the Lego fish. I smell something really Danish and funny. Brick Clowns are relatively timid mutated fish monsters. Even this monster-infested sea brick clowns are quite likeable. When they are far away from their nest, they've even been known to play with people. However, they are still territorial, and if you should accidentally venture near their nest, exercise caution and leave immediately. When making your way out, pay attention to what is under your feet, because they love setting up booby traps throughout their tunnels. If you are not careful, you might just step on their brick exterior. Oh no, treading on Lego bricks! That's a fate worse than death. It's interesting that it talks about how when they're further away from the nest, they're a little bit more passive. Because actually, and I don't think this is programmed into the game, but on the screens that aren't any nests nearby, they don't seem as aggressive. Maybe that's just me misremembering. We're almost halfway through. Brickshell. This was a boss. Are you sure these fish are not from Denmark? Was that where Lego was made? Is this a reference that I'm missing? It could well be. It's been a long day. Which came first, the Brick Clown or the Brickshell? This question has puzzled the Royal Central Academy's biologists and philosophers for ages. Whatever the answer, we know that Brickshellers rely on Brick Clowns to provide food and nutrients. In return, Brickshellers protect Brick Clowns, thereby creating a symbiotic relationship. Considering past battle records, when Brickshellers are exterminated from an area, Brick Clowns will soon disappear. It's interesting that this is classified as a living organism. Obviously, we did fight it as a boss, but it doesn't really look like a creature in the same way that a lot of the other things in the game have. Trampo fish. These are the boingy ones that bounce people around. Is it the perfect spring for a clown box? Toy making master Tanaka Guillemon, 2366. Trampofish have the characteristic feature of using their fake springing eyes to attack enemies. Master Tanaka Guillemon was inspired by a near-death experience after encountering dozens of trampofish. He spent many months using springs from trampofish to modify ancient automata, creating a brand new toy that he named the Trampo Clown Box Maxima. His creation was the most popular toy for 3 seasons in 2366. Master Tanaka said, "Humour is the secret to surviving when we encounter adversity." That is again, it's a very interesting genetic evolution that they've evolved fake eyes. I mean, obviously the game isn't really how evolution works. You don't really evolve metal bits and fake bits, but we can work with the idea that they are more mutated than evolved. It's just really interesting seeing some of the crazier ideas that people have come up with for this game. The Algol. This was the last one I got, number 32. Algol of sleek bodies and nimble mechanical claws made of steel. These two traits have helped them become fast and agile thieves. They often move alone, sitting and waiting in their hiding spots. When an opportunity arises, a piece of flesh or other food item, Algol will strike at the speed of lightning and clutch onto their targets with their steely claws. I don't think these attack us. I think these run away. Frankly speaking, these fish are just cowardly sea hyenas. Ibn Tarif 2377. Yeah, I think they just run if you get close. I do like the fact, though, that they've got little recycle symbols on there. And it looks like they've got really kind of silly moustaches, which amuses me no end, frankly. Silly moustaches will always amuse me. Brickshell. I like the design of these. I like the kind of anemone style thing, but with brick and spiky tentacles. When ammonoid were found again in the ocean, which were considered extinct from the Cretaceous period, people were excited. Their survival was thought a biological miracle. Unfortunately, after further study, Ahmad ibn Fadl found that brick shells were more like mollusks with external shells. Their shells are not a product of their own bodies, but the usage of abandoned carbon fibre bricks. This quality provides the species with a higher defence than most other mutated creatures. I find it really interesting that these carbon fibre bricks have got such interesting colours. White, black and orange. It's a very specific colour scheme. Very odd. Brick Thunder. Where did we meet these? I don't remember these at all. Damn it, I was too careless. Last words of Ahmad ibn Fadlan before being electrocuted, 2359. A close relative to the brick shell, the Brick Thunder has an almost indestructible shell and the ability to discharge high voltage bioelectricity. In extreme conditions, it's capable of electrocuting an adult in mere seconds. There is documentation showing Brick Thunders capable of storing man-made electrical power. I don't remember seeing these at all. Maybe they were in the arena. They were probably down in the power plant, I would think. But no, I don't remember these off the top of my head. Again, a nice evolution of the design. Yellow and orange, or yellow being added to the design, and the little kind of electrical generators on the side is really cool. I also find it interesting that their tentacles now look much more like stripped down wires at the end as opposed to actual tentacles like the brick shells. That's a nice little touch. Somnus! The immobile Somnus is a blobfish-like mutated fish that inhabits places where pipelines cut through. They don't move a muscle for their entire lives. Somnuses release bubbles through their pig-like snouts. Creatures that become entangled in these bubbles will likely never escape. Victims struggle until they are weak from exhaustion and finally coming to rest nearby a Somnus as a succulent meal. It's the little kind of tear, because if you hit them to get a bubble coming out of the nose, they do open their eyes here. They're such an odd design, you know, that you've got this very specific clown-like mouth that makes it look like they're unhappy all the time. Immobile, indestructible, self-defense, and this actually continues through the design. The kind of vents, but they look even more unhappy as you go. So the Soul Somnus, that's an odd name. I'm wondering whether that's a translation thing. Soul Somnuses are a Somnus variant. Surprise! Having consumed more toxic pollutants even, the bubbles they release are much more harmful. Creatures that inhale or come into contact with the toxic gas inside these bubbles will be immediately paralysed. I don't recall becoming paralysed. I recall a build-up of the debuff that we get. I like the slight variation these don't have a pipe on the side. These actually do have the pipes on the side, but the one at the back has been kind of overgrown with these fungus. It's also got a kind of, it looks a little bit like a nose ring on here, almost like they're a punk thing. But the fact that they're a little bit more kind of blobby and corrupted, it makes me think very much of kind of Nurgle-esque creatures from Warhammer 40k. And then we get the worst of the worst, which are the Night Somnus, which are black and they've got kind of stuff dribbling out, and even their lips are starting to kind of blister. Obviously, these guys are being fueled by petrol. Night Somnuses are the ugliest form of Somnus and normally inhabit areas near petroleum pipelines. The bubbles they release contain sticky petroleum, thus making it more difficult for prey to escape. In addition, they expand their habitat by way of these oil bubbles. You find these, I think, only in the petroleum factory down in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. There's not many of them in the game, but I really, really like the Somnus designs. I think they're really interesting. Tainted, don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Nacra? Don't know. There's not many of these in the game either. They shut their shells when you get close to them, so you've got to kind of hit them from afar. The Tainted Necro was an artificial creature of high economic value. Its delicious meat and ability to annually produce giant pearls made it popular among royal citizens. However, after the invasion of mutated monsters, the Tainted Necro stopped producing pearls. Instead, it started shooting hard spheres like cannonballs, making it highly destructive and abnormally threatening. Those cannonballs can bounce as well. They bounce all over the place, so they can still get you. Again, nice colours, and the lore really adds to it. And I do like how they're kind of fusing this piping with something much more natural looking. Also, I like the little bits of colour here and there just to brighten it up. The people that did the art direction for this game must have had a whale of a time with designing these creatures. I think this is probably my favourite creature in the game. I might be wrong, but I just love the premise of it. Beam Dancer. Ram attacks, ranged attacks, light diffusion. Every Doomsday night is a disco night. DJ Marco, 2394. The resilience, or maybe persistence, of human beings is often best expressed by how they enjoy themselves during extreme hardship, with the birth of the Beam Dancers being a prime example. DJ Marco is a frequent user of Beam Dancers during his massive parties. Regardless of whether sea monsters are broken in or not, partygoers can number in the tens of thousands. The most appealing feature of Beam Dancers is that they can reflect light like a disco ball. Possessing super biological phototaxis, Beam Dancers like to get close to light sources, thereby making it difficult for hunters to capture them. Beam Dancers are also capable of reflecting laser beams, often used by humans as defense. The 2394 reggae incident was caused by an invasion of coward gunners and Beam Dancers, leading 6,000 dancer deaths. 6,000 people died at the 2394 reggae incident. Which were coward gunners? Have we seen coward gunners? Oh yes, those. Ah, yeah. So you combine those with the Beam Dancers, and obviously the coward gunners are invincible. So that's not going to be a fun time. And we've run afoul of them a couple of times actually in game. The Tarrasque. Tarrasque obviously is well, I mean, I first have heard of Tarrasques in D&D, but I believe they're actually in mythology as well. An ancient tale tells of a dragon-turtle monster hybrid that wreaked havoc in southern France. As this mutated monster bears an uncanny resemblance to that of the mythical Tarrasque, many people consider its symbolism for the return of a saint. They have expectations that Saint Martha will descend from the sky to tame this huge monster. However, since the Tarrasques have been continuously reproducing, the tale does not seem credible. And again, these are really interesting design. It almost looks like they've got kind of statue-style heads and they're using it as protection. And they've got these almost cement-like bodies with, again, glass spikes and spiked fins. And what looks like just random netting or wire mesh. Those look like kind of six-pack ring. Don't know what they're called. The things, plastic things that hold cans together. And again, this a weird hook on the tail. It's almost like you could pick it up and kind of use it as a keyring, which would be an interesting thing. The rotten... so that's what they look like without the helmet on. They're very much more turtle. They've got stuff stuck in them. Interesting that it uses the same colours as well as the Soul Somnus, which has also been kind of corrupted. Everything's corroded and it's got like a fish skeleton attached to it. And these kind of rusty poles sticking out of its back. It looks really, really disgusting. Which is kind of the point. I haven't read it, have I? The rotten Tarrasque is covered with thick venomous slime that is so highly toxic even the specialised uniforms of deep navy divers are unable to resist corrosion for long. This makes the rotten Tarrasque one of the worst threats, most difficult creatures to clean up after. Father John sees the venomous slime as a manifestation of royal citizens' endless desires corrupting the environment. Yeah, it's civilization started with the best of intentions, and then humans gonna human. Petrol Tarrasque. Again, I love the bright orange colours on this. So this has got the same head as the first one. But it's mouldier, and the stuff on the back is kind of crusted over. Its filthy appearance symbolises the sins of mankind. After the Tarrasque invasion of the Phalanx petroleum refinery, some mutated into petrol Tarrasques. They are not only able to dash against anything in front of them with their huge tough bodies, but they passively pollute the ocean due to their petroleum-laced skin. Father John believes that the moral degeneration of mankind has manifested in petrol Tarrasques. I think the first one of these that we encountered span towards us and killed us horribly in-game. They do a lot of damage with their charge attacks. But like pretty much everything in the game, if you can mark it, you can pretty much one-shot it with a charged attack. Fluorofan! These things surprise me because they move surprisingly quick. They shoot stuff at you and... I mean, it says average speed here, but I thought they moved reasonably quickly. Ugly things are not terrifying. What is truly terrifying are the evils so often disguised as beauty. The survivor of the attack of Fluorofan 2361. Someone once said, if you cut open a Fluorofan, you'll find darkness inside. Although an exaggeration, it is partly true. Though Fluorofans are quite lovely, they are highly aggressive creatures. If one happens to be discovered by a Fluorofan, it will shoot 5-inch nails from its sectored sternum, which are able to pierce foes with tens of holes. So they're very much kind of advanced seahorses, but ones with kind of Kraid-like stomach projectiles. And they've got these cute big blue eyes which contrast quite nicely, or complement quite nicely, the orange and pink. It's sharp and spiky. Fluorofan Indra. I don't remember these either. Oh no, these are the electrical charged ones that you find down south and in the arenas. I hadn't realised how pretty these are. They've really got that kind of Indian style with gold and gems. Among thousands of Fluorofan can always be found an Indra. Their spectacular form is replete with electrically charged iron nails. With these, the Fluorofan Indra can release a more powerful piercing and deadly hail of nails. Even a mere scrape can paralyse a target with electricity. I really like that design. I mean, blue and yellow are lovely colours that go together, but the additions of the reds, the purples, the darker browns, these look like kind of gold chunks, don't they? And this kind of jade as well. It's a really nicely designed creature, that one, and it's a real evolution of the base Fluorofan. Again, these look like they've got plastic recycling bags for heads. Medusa. It's like an H.G. Wells fantasy manifest. Tata Ming 2381. Medusas rarely appear alone. They generally live around Medusa magna in colonies ranging from hundreds to thousands of individuals. With bodies created for the merger of fish and plastic bag, they use their strong yet pliable muscles to eject constant jets of water. Although the power of these water jets is not enough to cut metal or rocks, they still slice through the flesh of many a creature. So they are used in kind of towards the middle right of the map and the middle bottom of the map to cut off routes until we can get to them, because you can't dash through their water jets, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I think they draw in water through the top there. Gatling Crab. This was one of the coolest early encounters. In the 24th century, the development of military weapons had peaked. No one expected an old weapon like Gatling guns to pose a serious threat to Roila, but this idea was subverted by a mutated creature. When a group of crabs broke into the military museum and equipped their arms with machine guns, the Gatling Crabs were born. They fire an artillery barrage to cover other monsters as they attack facilities around Roila, making it very difficult for protectors. They're such a bizarre idea. But I love the fact that just the kind of, oh yeah, we'll just rock into the museum and equip themselves with Gatling guns, like you do. Don't know where the ammunition comes from, but it's a fantasy story, so let's just enjoy the monster design. It's really, really cool. I like this extra little kind of jade oozy detail that and it looks like that's kind of stuck on, but I kind of feel like it's fused together. The lamp angler. These were things that I just hadn't expected. And as soon as the first one came out of the wall and shocked me, it's like, oh yeah, that makes absolute sense that there'll be anglerfishes and mutated anglerfishes down in this place. Light doesn't always bring hope. Madame Toussaint, The Last Haruspex, 2393. The sneaky lamp angler soon learned people could also be tricked by its dangling headlamp. They hide in reefs, small caves, and even cracks in man-made structures waiting for unlucky passerby. Almost everyone lured into the light loses their life. Even those lucky enough to survive are traumatized and become extremely fearful of lights. So it's a really nice evolution of the kind of anglerfish design. I love the fact that it's got little plugs all over it. Again, this mix of technology and biology is really interesting to look at, and I think I'd actually quite like an art book of concept art for this game and all of the different things that they went through in order to create this world, to get a bigger picture of things than maybe we've been presented with in game. That is weird, and I don't remember seeing them in game. I mean, we must have done. We must have killed them. Where were these? The marble balloonfish. Marble balloonfish were one of the first mutated fish to appear. People thought they posed very little threat until a group of balloonfish raised 3 ocean cities near Micronesia. They adapt quickly to almost every environment and attack by blasting marbles produced from within their bodies. Some biologists speculate they're related to the Deliverer of Death. I don't remember these at all, but again, they're a really cool design. The little sheen here just adds to this feeling of plasticity that they have got. Really, really odd. Really odd designs. Good colours as well, I like the purple and red. The mustard balloon fish. Oh, are these the ones that deflate? I think they are, aren't they? These are the ones that deflate and leave poison gas around, or mustard gas. It must reiterate that mustard gas should never have been invented. If an explosion of hundreds of marbles isn't threatening enough, the mustard balloonfish can release from its body one of the most notorious poisons in human history, mustard gas. The gas quickly blisters skin on contact and suffocates targets. Due to corrosive mutations, gas masks are ineffective. During World War II, hundreds of years ago, mustard gas was directly responsible for 1.3 million deaths. That's a really interesting design as well. The fact that it's kind of got a horn there and its mouth is kind of dripping goo, and weirdly enough that it's got a kind of power cord tying it together. Again, I don't think it is worth thinking about how the hell these creatures would work or exist. I think it's more just to admire the creativity that has clearly gone into this. Pisces Fungus. Take this fish, add 2 sprigs of Chinese Angelica, 5 bunches of wolfberries, 3 chunks of Cnidium rhizome, and 3 bowls of water. Cook until it thickens in a soup, and you're done. Wang Bao Kiang, a Chinese medicine master. Again, I've probably pronounced that wrong, apologies. Royal biologists think that this rare fish is the result of a mutant fish monster being parasitized by potent fungi. Like the caterpillar fungus used in traditional Chinese medicine, the host fish of Pisces fungi lost the power to control its body. Protectors then must be extremely careful of this toxic fish driving fungus. So the fish itself is no more, which is why it's got these dead eyes. It's being driven around by the kind of mushroomy fungusy stuff. And again, the use of colours here for contrast is impressive. You got your greens, your greys, your turquoises, and your pinks, all kind of working together. I like the kind of way this almost vegetation, plant leaves are formed of the fins. I don't remember where these are in the game, but they're cool looking. Rotten Pharmacist. Oh, they've got jars and vials and stuff kind of stuck in them, and they look really sad. A lot of the creatures, the mutant creatures in this game, look really sad. I assume these are the gills here, and they're full of goopy chemicals as well. According to, I've told you that you must burn medical waste as soon as possible. Albert, head of St. Stephen's Hospital, 2375. According to Albert's reports, the rotten pharmacist was the byproduct of hospitals improperly disposing of medical waste. After invading small clinics and ocean cities, some fish mutated into rotten pharmacists. Most of their bodies consist of some combination of used syringes and rusty scalpels. When dealing with these creatures, the risk of infection is high, so treat any injury with care and attention. Poisonous, summoned minions. One of the more interesting things about this being a 2D game is speculating as to what this creature might actually look like head on. You know, I'm imagining it as quite a round, bloated creature with all of this stuff sticking out both sides, but we don't get to see that because of where our camera is. These things are gits. I like them, and the more I've thought about the story surrounding those discarded rabbit toys and what happened to the children, the more I actually feel quite sorry for what has gone on for the Scarlet Banshees. The innocent shall pass safely, but sinners must be wary, for they feed on vice. Among our own chaotic world we grow, chanting the hymns of another world. We wander eternally between two worlds, unknowing of the footsteps of like travellers. So I think it's certainly hinted that these are the lost souls of the children from the Undercity, perhaps the ones even that were experimented on. And they have found where all of the toys were discarded and stored up. And, you know, they've taken the bunny masks because they've heard hellish rabbitus on the other side. These things were creepy. Don't get to see these properly very often. They're usually kind of off screen because of how large they are. But they're basically an octopus, I think, but with extra bits. So he's got a key and rope, and that looks a little bit handcuffy, which is kind of worrying. And then it's got this horrible mime mask kind of grown into it, maybe. With a mind at peace, tears and laughter reveal themselves of masks of no relevance. Hymns from Another World, Book of Wisdom 6.1. The warden wanders in, dragging heavy chains. He gazes upon the king, imprisoned in his own dungeon. A smile appears as he glances at the scarlet rabbit. The rabbit nods. The warden takes a bow. He He tightens the chain, then hands over the sinners to the rabbit. He smothers a smile with one hand. The other wipes away a single tear. In the silent hall, the rabbit raises its hands. Guilty. The sinners turn instantly to blood, flooding the dungeon. The imprisoned king madly imbibes the life force. The warden bows once more. He turns to the wall and replaces the chains. Send in the next sinners. So he's a warden of a jail. So this makes me feel like it's actually referencing a story that maybe is part of folklore in Taiwan, where the game was made, I believe. But maybe it's from another game that they've created. I don't know. It seems like there's more to it. They've put more thought into it. Right, we're on to bosses here, aren't we? So the Silver Chattertooth. Silver Chattertooth's most distinctive features are the 30 to 40 kilogram silver dentures adorning its mouth and unique skin colour from other Chattertooth. Yeah, because it's blue. Because of its territorial instincts and quite specific habitat requirements, the treasure it guards is considered far more valuable than its own fancy jaws. If I remember correctly, it guards a memory board slot, doesn't it? I believe that's what we got from this guy. So this is kind of the end boss of the tutorial area, essentially. The golden one. This guy was a fun fight, actually. I like this. If I could hunt down those golden teeth, my life would be set. Blinding flash. The golden Chattertooth is the most prized of all game. Its golden teeth, made of 18-karat gold weighing an estimated 50 kilograms, is priceless. For decades, many sea hunters braved the darkest depths and most dangerous currents to no avail. A great fortune still awaits one worthy enough to defeat this beast. I believe if you're going for the basic ending, you don't need to defeat this guy. But if you want the proper ending, you do need to defeat him, because you need to be able to get down to the area where Mina's I keep wanting to call them heirlooms or relics, the key items that I've got marked on the map. You know, the Toby backpack and stuff. Garbage Maiden. I didn't get much of a chance to look at this boss because it goes around in a circle and it's quite nasty now I look at it. Excuse me. It's quite nasty. So this is a garbage truck. It's with a scarecrow on top, and it's got rubbish bags in its mouth, which is overflowing. It's got a tongue, and it's got these delightful kind of crab-style legs. It's got something in there as well. Actually, is that the Hellish Rabbit? Or something like it? It looks a little bit like it with the red and black. When the music comes in the night, you shall obey and present your worldly offerings. That is what delights me. Hymns from Another World, Book of Eclipse 118. When you hear a maiden's prayer, watch out. Gather your offerings with both hands and wait for the music to approach. To appease Elise, remember to place your offerings in the appointed bags lest you face her displeasure and be swallowed. Beware, for Elise has no mercy. She loves those who shun the rule, for she takes pleasure in dismemberment. She will then collect her favourite organs and seal them in ever-frozen vessels. As for you, you become a hungry ghost, haunting the living as Elise's hearse approaches. That's oddly disturbing. So this on top is designed to look like a maiden in a dress, isn't it? Head, chest, arms, skirts. But then it's on top of this lovely thing. And if I remember correctly, it spews garbage bags at you. That's a really nice design. That's very inventive, in my opinion. Don't know why the wheels were up there, but yeah. And yeah, I think that's one of the Hellish Rabbits there. And there, actually. Because again, it's linked to this other world. Mimik. This was a fun fight. It's a trap! This slime-mutated monster resulted from a failed experiment. The developers implanted a biocomputer into a mutated monster leader in hopes to gain control over other monsters. However, the experiment ended in total failure. Experiment object CRS-1211 ran free and utilized its new biocomputer to make itself into a cybernetic monster. It can disguise itself as man-made objects, making it extremely unpredictable. I like the fact that the things that you can buy from it are actually represented on its body, although it looks a little bit more squished here than it did in-game. Ambush tactics, hyper-intelligence, bullet hell, ranged attacks. Not a particularly difficult enemy to actually defeat, but a lot of the bosses, you, as I figured out, could just be kind of rammed. Hanbelina! I like this one. I didn't get much of a chance to actually see what this one looked like because it was really easy to defeat. It's got little bobble eyes on it. That looks like a water bottle. We've got more. It's just a big collection of junk and stuff, isn't it? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Haha, I'm paper, you lost. Why is your rock getting closer and closer to me? What? This peculiar fish loves playing rock, paper, scissors with intelligent creatures. However, it expects to always win, and once it loses, it will attack its opponent in the form it lost with. Many have been attacked by its giant palm, hard fist, and 2 poking fingers. Huh. Oh yeah, it does. It the water jets thing from its first 2 fingers in a scissoring motion, didn't it? And I never even thought. I never made that link. But again, I just love those bobble eyes. Frankly, it's a really cool design, and it makes me think of the thumbs up that you get when you complete the arena, and that entertains me as well. Ningen. Didn't get much of a chance to take a look at this guy as well. Didn't really like this boss. Realistically, there was only one way to properly kill him, which was to kind of stay in the middle, kind of circular area where his kind of lane beams couldn't hit. For what has been done to me, I must repay you more greatly. Hymns from Another World, Book of Righteousness 2.5. I don't remember who I am. All I know is that I was born to guard, whether my master or any living. That doesn't quite make sense. I once protected adults in white gowns. Now I'm loyal to 3 children. I don't remember who I am. All I know is that I used to be human, but the white light stole my humanity. Now I have forgotten the human figure. All I remember is my burning hatred. I don't remember who I am. All I know is that I am Ningen, though I used to be L112. I will kill all humans. The sacred ground is not theirs that should be tread upon. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It looks like maybe an early experiment. It makes me think of the baby thing from Resident Evil Village. It makes me think of the Orphan of Kos from Bloodborne: The Old Hunters. It makes me think of kind of a submersible style thing with this, and this being almost kind of white plastic. It's an interesting one, and this lore actually doesn't really help clarify anything at all. Apart from that, again, it's linked to the hell world. Paraketo! This was the boss in the whale, wasn't it? Yeah. Sir, do you want us to kill it? May I ask if my job insurance covers being eaten alive? There are few chances for ordinary people to see a Keto. We've always thought of Keto as a monster invented to haunt children like the Boogeyman or the Honest Politician. Keto first appeared during the Battle of Mariana in 2370. The last moment captured on camera was of a Keto swallowing Sergeant Alexander Popowski and his teammates. Ever since, the Mariana region, along with its famed big whale show, has been closed. May those whales thrive in safety, though dearly we miss them. Yeah, that didn't happen, did it? Again, Very kind of dangerous looking, almost plant-like design. These little claw things are interesting. And also the fact that, you know, its spine seems to have kind of barrels embedded to it, and its eyes, if that is indeed what they are, look more like bullet holes than anything else. Really interesting fusions throughout this game of organic and mechanical. This was a cool boss. I really like Lamina. Now I would like to see you all swallow its shark's fins. The last words of radical environmentalist Maria Donetsky before her execution, 2375. Lamina did not evolve naturally. It was a monster created by a radical environmentalist group headed by Maria Donetsky. To avenge sharks who had been finned, the group turned a dying mother shark into half machine, half fish bionic monster. Eventually the Deep Ocean Army captured Maria Donetsky along with her followers, but the monster escaped and continues to threaten communities near the Imperial Emporium. So far, all attempts to exterminate Lamina have failed. I honestly think that Lamina is one of the coolest, most horrible, but definitely coolest designed enemies in the game. The splashes of red against the black admittedly are my kind of colour scheme. But the fact that all of these different blades and harpoons, and the fact that even the mouth looks like it's almost stapled shut by blades. It's just a really threatening, dangerous looking biomechanism. And I think it's super duper cool. It's also a really fun boss fight, which, you know, helps. Electric Hydra. Sir, the Faraday suit doesn't work. I'm on fire. Though lacking the ability to regenerate like the legendary 9-headed snake, the Electric Hydra is still a tricky opponent. And I did have problems with it until I just used the cheesy method. It is a genetic mutation resulting from 9 sea snakes entangled on a generator. Its main threat is emitting an electrical discharge of over 10,000 volts when another creature gets near. Even if you were to approach wearing a Faraday suit, it could still utilise its thermoelectric properties to burn through the suit, or just swallow you whole. Didn't get much of a chance to appreciate the design of the Electric Hydra because it was one of those fights where there was quite a lot going on. But it's interesting that it's got like these kind of generator style spikes here, but only on this one actually. The others have got kind of spiky heads and really sharp, and again the electric blue of the eyes with the yellow. I don't know about the heads. I assume the generator was inside the head of a statue or something like that, or maybe it's just there to give the head something to anchor to. They were really nicely animated from what I remember, which must have taken quite a lot of work. Medusa Magna. Okay, right. We're screwed. The Medusa breeding season is irregular. Sometimes there is a gap of 5 years between spawns. However, sometimes those long gaps result in an extraordinarily strong Medusa that gradually mutates into Medusa Magna. This Medusa variant will carry its relatives along with it as it looks for a safe habitat in which Medusas can breed. Tens of thousands of Medusas will breed under Medusa Magna's protection over a period of 2 months. During this time, the Magna's main focus will be on protecting its family members from invading threats. So, obviously, the Medusas were plastic bags with kind of octopusy things in. So I like the fact that they've done a really good job, actually, artistically speaking, of making this look like a stretched and torn plastic bag. You know, you can see the stretch lines and the sheen being picked up by the ridges of this. It also looks like it's got like a weird bicycle wheel in there, which is kind of odd. You know, you've got harpoons, spikes, fish hooks and bills and stuff sticking out of it. I'm sure all these little spines took a while to draw. Yeah, really cool design. Fun boss. Excuse me, a fun boss as well. This guy didn't last very long, from what I remember. But this is the one that we get the Minimorphosis thing just after. Puffy Fortress. In the history of battles between the Puffy Fortresses and humans, Captain Robert Newcomen is the only man to have survived entirely intact. As such, he has passed on some precious information. We now know that the reason Puffy Fortresses can move freely is that they can shrink their bodies to under 1 meter in length. Their relatively small size allows them to hide from drone scouts and maneuver through dense lines designed for larger creatures. What is with the numbers? Does that kind of... I mean, 0 there and 3 there. Is that 3 times the size of that? I guess it probably is. So, does it have kind of an indicator of the size that it's grown to? It's very odd. Again, the spikes and the other kind of mechanical mutations attached to them are really cool. And that they can fire these javelins out, can't they? I've always thought pufferfish were really cool creatures anyway, and having this really kind of weird mutated version of them is very cool. Speaking of cool, I mean, I wasn't good at this boss at all, but I thought it was a really cool idea. Decaying Majesty. I love the fact that it's got this kind of blood red barbed wire crown, and again its staff, or trident I guess it is kind of held together by barbed wire as well. It's got some really odd and interesting details on it. It looks like intestines and stuff, tentacles being held together. It's got dead fish as well. It's a really cool design. Although my throne has decayed, kings from every nation continue to fight for its claim. Hymns from Another World, Book of Lords 6:6. You shall not utter my name directly. Address me only as the nameless king of slaves, the cursed king of underground cities, landfills and waste processing plants, the majesty of child murderers, science deniers, madmen and withered souls. This is my kingdom, and you shall not move forward nor pry into any of its secrets. So the Decaying Majesty was found down in the deep bowels beneath Roiler, where the children were taken from for the science experiments, is my general understanding of the story. There. Raksha! Biotransformation Ramatax Juggernaut. Ladies and gentlemen, for as long as we remain here, I will not allow this monster to destroy Roiler. Cao Jilen, delivering her wartime speech 10 minutes before her heroic death in battle in 2400. In the beginning, people were quick to deny Raksha's existence, denying evidence and screaming about conspiracies meant to slander the government. Their ignorance of the threat led to the 2378 Raksha Guzzling Massacre. It was the annual Roiler Undersea Marathon. 2,000 participants stood wearing wetsuits waiting at the starting line. Suddenly, rows of sharp teeth that had been waiting for the starting signal flashed before the contestants. Raksha then gained the moniker, the Marathon Slaughterer. People know very little about Raksha because there are so few survivors from their attacks. Thus, the Raksha remains a mysterious species. But obviously we know, after finishing the game, or getting towards the end of the game, we know what Raksha is. Hellish Rabbitus. Another one. Always room for another one. Nursery rhymes sung by Hellish Rabbitus, 2363. Our story is simple, yet no one remembers. We were born in the depths of the sea, no light to be seen. There was no feeling of fresh water, nor taste of fresh food. There was such a magical kingdom we struggled to survive on Roiler scraps. One day, we were taken away from our parents and brought to a tall building. A blonde woman, an elder in a white gown, cold machines flashing red lights. Pain tore through our bodies as our insides spilled over the room. We failed again, they said. They threw us into the abyss without hesitation. I couldn't see you. I couldn't hear you. I couldn't touch you nor move. What wrongs did we commit to deserve such torture? The fault is not your own. Mr. Rabbit spoke gently. You deserve new lives. Mr. Rabbit held us in his arms. I could see you again. I could hear you as well. I could touch you as well. We were then reborn. Revenge, children. Play to your heart's content. Mr. Rabbit spoke to us, and there began our never-ending revenge. So I was right. These are the manifestations of the souls of all of the children that were taken for the experiments. The blonde woman, the elder in the white gown, this is Heinrich and Mina. And the machines that they were using for their genetic experiments, these are the failures. And they have been touched by something that is on the other side beyond death. Hellish Rabbit, the Ancient One. Make him disappear, please. The little girl's prayer to Hellish Rabbit, the Ancient One. 1966. Interesting date. Don't you know enough already? Then I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I once made a teacher disappear from the world. I realised 3 dying children's last wishes, granting them the power to seek revenge. Humans always see me as evil, though my judgment is fair and just. The red and black mean I never favour or show mercy. To die or live depends on your actions alone. I am no Grim Reaper or God. I'm just a rabbit. I'm a rabbit that can see the truth. Now, do you know me better? I really, really like the cutscene with Hellish Rabbits. Didn't much enjoy the fight with Hellish Rabbitus. There was far too much going on screen for me in that fight. I love the idea of it, but I just could not keep track of what was going on because I think it slightly zoomed us out as well. Really cool, very unexpected encounter with Hellish Rabbitus at the end of the maze, and the fact that we got a cool ending from that was very, very interesting as well. Skeletal rabbit covered in blood and souls. Really interesting idea, and does make me wonder if there is more of a link to something outside of the game than this. Because in a game that is essentially about fish, the rabbit stuff kind of stands out, and it makes me think there must be more to it. But there we go. That is a look at all 68 entries in the Creature Encyclopedia of Pronty, Fishy, Adventure. I love those. Some absolute cracking designs here. Would any of them legitimately work IRL? No. This is all kind of far future, weird science, speculative fiction. Doesn't really matter if, those, I suppose, the tentacles could work. Doesn't really matter if any of them would legitimately work as real creatures or real mutated things. It's just the sheer joy of the world building for it that really entertains me. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. It's been a long one, but hopefully you've liked my little run through, my read through of things, and just generally enjoyed the experience, because clearly a lot of work has been put into the backstory and lore of this game. The fact that each of the entries, even just for the minor enemies, the fact that every single thing has at least one paragraph worth of lore and story attached to it, I think is really, really impressive for a small studio. So keep up the good work on that, developers. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a like for it. Obviously, it's been a good chunk of time putting this one together. And as always, if you'd like to support me further, there is a link down in the description below where you can do that. Until next time, folks, this has been Jemajan, exploring the Creature Encyclopedia in Pronty, Fishy Adventure. Stay safe out there, have yourselves a fabulous day. I'll catch you all in the next video. Doodle pip. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing? Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.